I think one big thing I have learned is that I need stamina. It's I'm very exhausted, to put it to say how my day has been. It's very exhausting, but very gratifying to be exploring Mozart in this way, and Mozart's absolutely brilliant concerto writing. And I'm very grateful and thankful for this experience. Certainly, yes. I think, first of all, performing for microphones, I mean, they are the most unforgiving audiences. And so whenever you hear your own playing through a microphone, it can be a wake-up call. And so there were definitely some surprises when we got into the booth and started listening. But what I was amazed by is that the engineers and Howard and myself, for my own solo part, whenever we listened, I think it really became clear just what our next step was in the studio, and in terms of how we were going to play that same spot over again. So it was really amazing to hear with such clarity exactly what we were doing to every little last detail, and then from there decide what we want to do next. Yes, we always try to get at least a few long takes before we, you know, took on little short bits and tried to make sure that every little detail was perfect. But I think going for those long takes is really important and really refreshing, especially in the recording process, when you are after such little details and little things that we need to be perfect or we need to be absolutely precise. Going for longer takes allows us to be a little bit more free, a little bit more at one with the music and with each other, and those were some of my favorite moments of the process, were those longer takes that we did. One of the biggest things for me is staying as hydrated as possible. I I drink I drink so much water. My friends, my parents, anyone who knows me comments on how much I drink water and how fast I drink water. It can be a little embarrassing sometimes, but it really keeps me steady and keeps me going. And so that's one thing I think that physically helps me a lot. In general, I would say also when I play piano, it's important to always be loose and not get too tense. Obviously, with a recording project, I tend to get a little tense sometimes just because of the nature of what we're doing. But trying to stay as loose as possible and making sure that I'm thinking more about the music part of it and what I want to say, what kind of story I want to tell with the music, rather than saying that I want to make sure that this passage is 100% clear. That helps me both physically and mentally stay relaxed and not get too itchy in a way. I don't have any well-established groups. There's a piano trio that I sort of started this past year, and we've done a few concerts together, but we don't even have a name yet, and it's not. But keep an eye out for that. I play a lot with a wonderful violinist named Geneva Lewis, who I know plays a lot in the UK. We met many, many years ago and started performing together, and we do at least 3 or 4 concerts a year together, which is a really wonderful experience. And it's always, when we come back to playing together after a long break, it always feels very nice and feels very easy to work together. But other than that, I play with anyone and everyone, really. I think I especially started getting into chamber music in 2018 when I first started going to the Marlborough Festival in Vermont. And being there is such an amazing haven of chamber music and nature, and being with other incredibly wonderful musicians who are as passionate about chamber music as you are. And so being at Marlborough has made me so much of a chamber musician, and that has been really a blessing for me. I would say also recently, so this past year, I joined Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center in the US, and that has also been a really wonderful blessing for me. And yeah, I feel really lucky that I get to play so much chamber music. I think it helps with concerto playing, certainly with solo playing. You learn from anyone that you perform with, and when you understand others' points of view in terms of how a piece should go, what is stylistic, what makes sense to them musically, we always gain different perspectives, and mixing those perspectives with my own really helps me grow as a musician. That would be really, really cool. Especially when, doing these concertos with such an amazing conductor like Howard Griffiths, seeing how he works with the orchestra is so inspiring, and definitely it gave me ideas about, what I would want to do if I was directing an orchestra, if I would, conducting and playing the piano at the same time. Some of these Mozart concertos. I think it lends itself well to that situation, playing and conducting from the keyboard. So it definitely would be something that I would be open to. It's a great stroke of luck for me. I, for the past 3 years, have been on the roster of an agency called Concert Artists Guild, which is an American partner to YCAT in the UK. And my understanding is that Thomas Pfiffner and Howard Griffiths, together with this project, were looking for a pianist, and found me initially looking through YCAT, and then through YCAT finding Concert Artists Guild, and through Concert Artists Guild finding me on the roster. And then they searched some of my Mozart playing, and I think I have a few videos on YouTube where I'm playing some Mozart concertos. And from my understanding, that is how it happened. It was from that they decided that I could be a part of it, and I'm very, very glad they did, because this has been such a wonderful and beneficial experience for me. Sure. So we recorded 2 concertos, the number 9, K271, and number 12, K414. I think with number 9, it's a very dramatic concerto. It's 3 movements. Each of them is extremely large, and the first and third movements have all sorts of technical difficulties and physical challenges related to them. There's a lot of fast notes, at times some rather large textures, especially for Mozart, and a lot of fast ornaments that are really fun, but also tough and difficult to pull off, especially with the kind of clarity that I think makes Mozart's music really shine at the piano. And then the second movement, to achieve, first of all, with the marking of andantino, which is by Mozart standards not very slow. Sometimes you'll see an andante or an adagio, maybe, but an andantino is actually quite moving for a slow movement. And yet it's in C minor, it's very somber, and there's also many very intricate little details within the slower tempo compared to the outer movements. And so to make sure that it all fits in smoothly and elegantly, at the same time you achieve this dark pathos. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to pull off, and I think balance with the orchestra in those things is also a challenge. With the other concerto, number 12, K414, it's much lighter than 271. The textures are thinner, and in a way that makes some things even more difficult because they're more exposed, especially in the solo piano part. So there are many instances where the piano has quite a long melody by itself or a long theme by itself, and you don't have the orchestra behind you supporting you. I mean, they are there, and in spirit they are supporting you, but in their sound it's just you alone. And especially when you've come from moments where you are supported by the orchestra and you feel more supported in that way, it can feel a little nerve-wracking to just be by yourself for those moments. So that's a whole different challenge, but equally gratifying. I almost have never played Bösendorfers before. I recorded these two concertos with a second piano with a friend of mine, playing the orchestra on a second piano just before coming here, just to get a chance to practice performing them for the microphones. And in the hall where I recorded, there was a Bösendorfer, a Model 280 like the one that we recorded on here. And it felt really, really nice. The touch is very bubbly, I would say, which is really, really great for Mozart. Like I said, it provides that exceptional bright clarity that lets Mozart's music shine. So I think that's one of the real special qualities of the Bösendorfer. And I would look forward to playing on Bösendorfers again. I think being an American and being so involved with the Marlborough Festival for a very long time, I've developed a very strong affinity for the Mozart performances of both of the artistic directors, Mitsuko Uchida and Jonathan Biss, as well as one of the former artistic directors, Richard Good. For me, the three of them are such brilliant Mozart players, and every time I hear one of their performances, it's extremely inspiring. Another amazing Mozart player for me is Sir Andras Schiff, who I've had the privilege to play for on a number of instances. And when I was much younger and really just starting piano, it was the performances of Andras Schiff that really inspired me to learn Mozart and work on many different concertos and sonatas and other pieces by Mozart. I have a lot of cafes that I want to go to. Many of them, I tried going to before when I had a little bit of free time after the recording sessions, but the lines were very long, and I didn't want to wait so long for a dessert. So I will try to get to some cafes maybe when they first open in the morning if I can. And I think that's a big thing on my list. I also want to see a number of museums, like the Belvedere, or the Albertina, or, well, there's no shortage of museums, and I intend to visit at least a few of them. I have heard quite a bit about the Pasqualati house, which I understand is an apartment where Beethoven lived and composed many of his masterpieces. And so that is a place that I would like to visit as well. One other thing is I want to find something to bring to my lovely girlfriend back in the States. I understand Swarovski is a pretty big thing here, so I will see if I can find something there. I'm sure I will be able to. If not, I'll find something else.